Right now, you are sitting somewhere safe. But rewind far enough into your own family tree, and the math says you shouldn't exist. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, most humans born into this world did not survive to adulthood. We had no claws, no fangs, no fur thick enough to survive a frozen night. We were slower than almost everything that wanted to eat us. Saber-toothed cats waited in the tall grass. Cave hyenas, larger and more powerful than their modern descendants, circled camps after dark. Ice Age winters could kill a healthy adult in a single bad night. By every rule nature had ever written, we should have been a footnote, a failed experiment. Extinct before anyone was around to write anything down. We weren't strong. We weren't fast. We didn't have a single one of the weapons evolution usually hands out to things that survive. So how did a species this fragile beat a death rate this brutal? We didn't outfight nature. We cheated it. The first cheat sounds like suicide. Early humans started eating the very things that were supposed to kill them. Plants don't want to be eaten. Many evolved toxins specifically to poison anything that tried. And yet, somewhere in deep prehistory, a hungry, desperate human ate one of those toxic plants anyway, and noticed something strange happen afterward. In small enough amounts, the poison didn't just fail to kill them, it did something else entirely. It killed the parasites living inside their own bodies instead. This is one of the oldest accidental discoveries in human history. The line between a poison and a medicine is almost always just the dose. Ancient peoples across the world began deliberately testing that line, grinding bitter roots, burning specific leaves, steeping bark in water that would have been fatal at a slightly higher concentration. Early Chinese herbalists are credited with cataloging hundreds of these plants through relentless trial and error. Most of it dangerous trial, plenty of it fatal error, slowly mapping which poisons could be turned into cures. This reckless, repeated, almost poisoning of ourselves became the foundation of every pharmacy on Earth. Modern medicine didn't begin in a sterile lab. It began with someone brave or desperate enough to eat the thing nature built specifically to kill them and live long enough to remember exactly how much they swallowed. The second cheat is even stranger, because it looks like an act of self-destruction. When the Ice Age tightened its grip, every other mammal on the planet did the obvious thing. They grew thicker, longer, warmer. Wolves, bears, mammoths, all of them doubled down on fur. Humans did the opposite. We lost ours. It looks like evolutionary suicide until you understand the trade we were making. Thick fur is incredible at trapping heat, which is exactly the problem. An animal covered in fur overheats fast the moment it has to run, hunt, or work for any length of time. Losing our fur let our skin do something almost no other mammal on Earth could do efficiently: sweat. Humans developed roughly 10 times more sweat glands than our closest primate relatives, turning our entire bodies into the most advanced cooling system in the animal kingdom. That cooling system unlocked something devastatingly effective. Early humans couldn't outrun a saber-toothed cat in a sprint. No human ever could. But over hours, in open heat, under direct sun, something remarkable happened. The cat, wrapped in fur built for sprinting and ambush, would overheat, exhaust itself, and eventually collapse. The human, naked, sweating, breathing steadily, would still be walking. This is called persistence hunting, and it turned our greatest apparent weakness into a quiet, relentless superpower. We didn't have to be fast. We only had to refuse to stop. The third cheat involves the one thing every other animal on Earth still runs from: fire. Every creature in the wild is hardwired to fear it. The smell of smoke, the flicker of orange light, the danger written into its very nature. Somewhere around 1 million years ago, early humans did something no other species has ever fully managed. They stopped running from fire and started carrying it with them. The benefits were obvious immediately: warmth, light, protection, as the glowing eyes of predators learned to keep their distance from the flame. But the deepest benefit was invisible, and it didn't show up for generations. Cooking changes food at a molecular level. It softens fiber, breaks down tough proteins, and unlocks far more usable energy from the exact same meal. According to the expensive tissue hypothesis proposed by researchers Leslie Aiello and Peter Wheeler, this mattered enormously because the human gut began shrinking around the same period our brain began rapidly expanding. A smaller gut costs less energy to run. That freed up energy didn't disappear. It went straight into building the most metabolically expensive organ in the animal kingdom. 3 pounds of tissue that consumes roughly 20% of your entire body's energy at rest. In other words, the moment we stopped fearing fire and started feeding it, we accidentally financed our own brains. We didn't just cook our food. We cooked our way into becoming human. Here is the part that should genuinely unsettle you. None of this was planned. There was no committee of ancient geniuses sitting around a fire, mapping out a survival strategy. There was just generation after generation of humans doing something that should have killed them. Testing poison, losing protective fur, grabbing fire with bare hands, and surviving often enough, just barely enough, for the habit to get passed down. Natural selection wasn't rewarding strength. It was rewarding a very specific kind of recklessness. The willingness to do the thing every instinct says not to do, because the old way clearly wasn't working either. That trait didn't disappear when the Ice Age ended. It's still sitting inside you right now. If you are watching this video today, on a screen, in a warm room, with full access to modern medicine, indoor plumbing, and electric light, you are not the descendant of the strongest humans who ever lived. You are the descendant of the ones who kept testing the poison, the ones who let their fur fall away and ran anyway, the ones who reached toward the fire instead of away from it. We were never the most powerful species on this planet. We were simply the best cheaters nature has ever produced, and every single one of us is proof the cheat worked. If this rewired the way you see your own ancestors, subscribe. Because the next impossible survival story is even stranger than this one.